I need to take inventory of something before we start here. We all own a pair of nail clippers, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
You scared me. You scared me. So a coworker told me, she turns to me and she's like, I need to ask you something. You own a pair of nail clippers, right? And I said, of course I do. I'm not a fucking animal. And she revealed to me that we're a rare breed and most men do not own nail clippers.
Really?
Apparently, she said my boyfriend doesn't have them and he insists that every man he knows doesn't have nail clippers.
That's insane. I mean, how do you cut them then?
Your teeth.
Guy, you just like put your foot in your mouth and
That's
well,
what
some
I
people
had.
are into that.
Yeah. See,
But I know some guys also just use like scissors.
oh my
Oh,
god.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's insane. For either of those methods to be effective, you have to get them like nasty long, don't you?
Not really. Not like nasty long. Yeah, you could still make it
You-
work with
You just gotta
scissors.
cut off the edge of your toes.
Sounds hideous. My god, I could never. That's like a new like squish feeling for me. Like anything like with you know how it's like you can see someone get their head blown off and it's fine, but anything with like nails and teeth, it's like "Ugh, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's spooky stuff.
I don't mean spooky. I
Ooh.
just feel I just become that
It's
picture of
the start of spooky season.
it is.
That's true. First day of fall.
Yeah. Gosh, I feel bad because I don't really have like a Halloween video planned. So I'm gonna regret asking. But what are your guys' ideas?
You should do top 10. I can't remember if you've made like an underrated Halloween. You've done underrated Halloween monsters.
Not exactly. I think I've done overlooked Halloween movies, and I've done my favorite of each Halloween monster.
You should do like the top 10 movies that like actually scared or disturbed me.
All right. Maybe.
Like
Um,
like not even like I like this one the best, like this one scared the shit out of me.
Number one. Number one. Brave Little Toaster.
mm.
Anyway, I interrupted you. What were you going to say, Dev?
Oh, I was just gonna say you should go to your local pumpkin patch. Just pick out a bunch of different pumpkins and then start smashing people's car windshields with them. And then you pick the top 10 ones that like did the best like smashing, that did the most damage.
You think I'll get through 10 before the authorities get me?
Just tell him it's a prank, bro.
Yeah, or just do it in Aurora.
Yeah. Or just be like, I'm Mr. Beast.
It's just a prank. It's for
Your
a
Honor.
Mr. Beast burger. I'm Dream. I'm doing my face reveal.
God.
Billy Corgan smashing pumpkins. Wham!
Homer Simpson smiling politely.
Rev up those fryers and fill those champagne glasses to the tippy top. It's West Coast Toast and Roast with Tommy, Will, and Dav. Welcome back to West Coast Toast and Roast. I am soon to be convicted for multiple windshield smashings via pumpkin. Jokingly, for my FBI agent's sake, jokingly, that's Tommy.
And I am very excited to get scared Shrekless this Halloween season, and I'm Will.
And if I have to play another round of Salmon Run, I will turn myself into a spooky ghost. I'm Dav.
Oh, what do you mean have to? Isn't it all optional?
Well, it is, but like every like 2 days, I think it resets the rewards, and the rewards that you get are like insanely good.
I see.
So you got to play to get the rewards, and then stop playing.
No, that kind of blows. That is kind of the online grind that I'm not really accustomed to. I don't with Multiverses and Splatoon both out. I don't normally do online stuff, but the double whammy of it has me a little onlined out. If I get one more communication error, I'm gonna, I guess, become a spooky ghost myself as well.
Damn.
That's true.
Anyway, that's interesting and all, David, but we have a structure. No more fucking around. Will?
Okay.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm joking. But well,
Yeah, you got anything new, Tommy?
It's bananas. We've been quoting that for like, has that season been out for a year and a half of I Think You Should Leave?
I think so. I no, it's been like I think a little more, right?
Almost 2 years maybe.
Jesus.
But you know what? We've been quoting it that whole time. Still fucking funny. Still slaps.
Yeah. So, Tommy, as far as the floor to say something, give me that.
Give me that. No, the best thing about I Think You Should Leave is that it's just like it's the last. I think it's like the last thing because we're in a brain poison generation. Whereas if we show the shit we find funny to someone even a couple years removed from us, they're like, "What the fuck?" I showed that sketch to my sister who isn't brain poisoned, and she found it fucking hilarious. That's like Golden Comedy Award, frankly.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, well, as far as your first toast and/or roast of the night, give me that.
All right, so usually I start with a toast, but today I'm going to start with a roast, and that is of the Cuphead show on Netflix. Now I enjoyed the game Cuphead, obviously like not as much as our resident Cuphead fan here, Tommy. But I think it's a really solid game and it's beautifully animated and the boss fights are really good and memorable. So when they announced that there was a show, I was like, okay, this could go one of two ways, and it kind of went the second way. Because the cool thing about Cuphead is it's inspired by classic cartoons and it's kind of dark. But the show is very much like a modern cartoon, like I don't expect it to be completely hand-drawn the entire way through, but it feels like a completely modern cartoon and not particularly a special one. And
I
then
think
the
that
boss...
we know what would happen if Cuphead show was a 1930s rubber hose short, Will. You'd throw up your pretty little lunch.
Now you're using I think you should leave quotes to interrupt my fucking...
I just couldn't help myself.
Oh, so you're saying you're joking.
Keep going.
This episode is going to be called...
just come out of the wall and give a cum shot.
I guess, like, the problem is that, like, it's not very... Like, for a game that sets itself apart for so many good reasons, the Cuphead show doesn't really set itself apart from any other cartoon, kind of at all. And a big part of that is that I'm almost positive that they wanted to make a cartoon, like the people at Netflix. They wanted to make a cartoon, but they were like, we have to use an IP for this, so they just kind of grabbed Cuphead and worked it around.
I don't know.
Because, like... What?
I don't know about that. I'm a draw the... Sorry, I don't want to cut you off from your initial thesis before we normally do, but I want to say I disagree wholeheartedly with that sentiment. But... why don't you... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I could totally see that. I just like the episodes with like OCs or just like Cuphead and Mugman fucking around. They just seem very standard. And like some of the episodes with the bosses are really good. And Elder Kettle is fucking hilarious. I love him. But I just like, even from watching like the first trailer for Cuphead, there's like a feeling you get. And I just don't really feel anything watching the show. I also think the personalities of Cuphead and Mugman are like just, and they didn't have super well-defined personalities in the game because they were just playable characters, but they're just not pleasant. Like they're just doing. I mean, I guess it's mainly Cuphead, but they've got the Joyzy accents and they're just fucking around, and like a lot of times it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, stop. No, like, it's not like a Bugs Bunny type of, like, playful trickster. It's like a what the fuck is wrong with you type trickster. Because, like, Bugs Bunny...
Blue from Foster's, kind of.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But, like, Bugs Bunny does a thing where he messes with people, and I don't quite know what exactly it is, but, like, when Bugs does it, it's charming, but when, like, Cuphead does it, it's like... Dude, leave him the fuck alone.
I don't think Bugs fucks with anybody that doesn't fuck with him first.
That's true. Yeah, and he's very kind to those, like, in Space Jam 2, he's pretty nice to LeBron James.
Nice
no, but
Roma.
That's true. No, but I think you do have a point there, honestly. Like, Cuphead just kind of does things to be, and it's like, oh, he does this because it's funny, but it's like, horrible things sometimes. And it's like, this person has like serious problems.
He's game theory. Cuphead is a sociopath.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
I mean, he's got actually kind of some Greg Heffley energy there.
You've got a point there. Yeah.
So, do you mind me cutting in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm not going to act like the show set my world on fire. I do ultimately agree. There's a handful of episodes. Like, I agree when they try OCs, it kind of doesn't work.
Yeah, like Bowl Boy.
I don't need the Muffin Ice Cream Man. I don't need Mugman's piano teacher. But I think no small part of that is that the original bosses of Cuphead are so well designed and have these influences that they have kind of a template to go off of. I think the 22-minute Calamaria and Briny Beard one is one of the best things they ever made. I thought that was really good. I guess here's what I want to advocate is that, in response to your statement that they just wanted to make a show, I don't think anybody's making circa 1930s Popeye style model sets because they don't have a passion for the project. It's a very lost and authentic art form that they utilize to really good effect, I would say.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, sometimes not even like the design of the show, but like the scripts. Like, it seems like these are just characters in a scenario that could be anyone.
I don't fully disagree there either. You go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the like you said, cutout sets of like the Four Horsemen episode. Those were really cool, and that's probably my favorite episode. And there are bits, like, I'm not gonna pretend that it's like full on horrible. I was just kind of disappointed by it because I feel like you had this opportunity to create something really cool and unique, especially to a modern audience, from something really cool and unique that a modern audience loves, and the ball was kind of fumbled.
Yeah, I guess in like devil's advocate for executives is one of the worst places you can come at, but like how I kind of envision it is I could easily see a reality where they wanted to make tight 7-minute shorts with very little dialogue and a little closer to the style, but I could see execs being like, what are you talking about? We're not going to put that on Netflix. Are you fucking serious? Like, so I could easily respect how much they do retain some of the stylistic touches of that within the character designs, how round and often bouncy they are, how authentic to the 30s a lot of it remains, while having to stretch it to a 22-minute runtime with a brand of humor that, because I wouldn't want to watch Minnie the Moocher if it was 22 minutes long. So I think the brand of humor did have to adapt with that. And that's complete conjecture on my part. I'm making that story up. But I do think I'm willing to wager at a certain point, especially being a streaming series, it did have to kind of compromise. And that's not me saying, so you're not allowed to criticize it with that in mind. Like, fuck the execs that's there. But that's just kind of my point of view where that feeling might be coming from.
Yeah, and like I said, I could definitely see that. It's just I definitely would have loved to, and not even like 8-minute shorts or whatever, but just something to kind of like merge both eras in a way that's a bit more, I guess, non-standard.
Yeah. I will say, I think something really in its favor is that because the premise of Cuphead game and show is that the world is just a cartoon world. So everyone's just an anthropomorphized something. So there doesn't, it's not like it's a cast of kids in a comedy where it has to be relatively safe because you can't like hurt kids very much. It's a cast of animals in a comedy and it still has to be relatively safe. You can't hurt animals much. This does get the opportunity, I think, to be a lot meaner than a lot of shows these days in that characters like fucking die a lot in a fashion. It kind of reminds me of classic SpongeBob a lot, how people just like get their souls sucked out or incinerated en masse, and then people just like move right on.
Yeah, I think that's That's definitely part of the appeal I could see. I'd honestly prefer it to be even darker. Like, not dark enough so that kids couldn't watch it, but like Gravity Falls dark.
I do think there is that wiggle room, and I wonder if the cliffhanger at the end of season 2 is going to leave room to approach that.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because, yeah, I won't spoil what it is for the folks at home, but it's definitely something that happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you have anything more to say about the Cuphead show? Because that's basically my piece.
Yeah, not really. They've adapted pretty much, I'd say, most of the best boss characters. I don't think that. I do kind of, as much as I criticize some, usually the best episodes are the ones with a boss character in it. I do kind of applaud the restraint that they aren't just throwing in everything. Because, like, if I had to write an episode about, the Blumstone the Giant, I'd be kind of like, okay, fucking, they climb up him. And, like, they were clearly working with what they had really solid ideas for. And that's why those tend to be the best ones. But I do think it can sometimes create, like, all the more a divide between those and some of the weaker ones. It's just like, oh no, Elder Kettle thinks Cuphead and Mugman are gonna fucking murder him. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
I didn't really need that one. I'd also say Miss Chalice in the show is a little bit hard to like.
Yeah, because, and it's also clear that they didn't know that she was going to be a ghost in the first season.
Well, no, I think she was a ghost in the original game, wasn't she?
No, that was like the Great Chalice, right?
Oh, maybe you're right.
So, but like, it did seem like random that she was just like, surprise, guys, I'm a ghost.
It's a shame. I think Grey Delisle does a really good job in the part. I don't think there's ever been a character that, like, Taylor built for Grey Delisle's voice. Or is it Grey Griffin now? Oopsie. You know who I mean, though. She's really, really good in it. But there's, a bizarre thing where it's like she lets them get arrested and also feels I don't know. A little bizarre.
No, I get you. But that's all I have to say about the Cuphead show. So, Dav, it is on to you.
Breezy. Okay. Well, today I would like to talk to you boys about a new religion I'm trying.
Oh boy.
And here's basically the rundown, right? And I mean, I know you guys are open-minded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's why I have all
Here's
this
the
stock
rundown.
in Quibi.
Yeah, you never know when that's going to come back, so might as well hold on to it just in case.
Mm-hmm. I'll try anything once.
Anyway, this religion is one that has existed for a long time. But let's put a little spin on it, all right? So instead of, I guess, boring old manuscripts and Renaissance paintings and all these different interpretations of the lore, let's just replace all of the deities in this religion with hot people.
Okay.
And let's say one of these hot people is trying to get out of their situation and hang out with the other hot people. You see where I'm going with this, yeah?
I feel like if I say what it actually is, it'll, like, ruin the bit. I think I know.
Well, the bit is that I want to fuck Zagreus from Hades.
Yeah! Knew it.
Because today, my religion is just the video game Hades. Because holy shit, boys. I finished this, I think, a few weeks ago now, on my Steam Deck. And it is phenomenal. This game is just amazing. I had been playing through it for a while, and like obviously it had been very well received, but I don't know. At first, when I was playing it, it didn't really like catch me right away. But I think after like really delving into it, it just got so good. Like every playthrough, I think that you do just gets better and better because for those who don't know, this is a roguelite game, which means the objective is basically you have a certain distance or an objective to reach, and like the idea is you start from square one, try to get to the goal, and if you die at any point during that time, you start over. So, but what makes this a roguelite though is that some of your attributes can be upgraded outside of the like the run through of the objective. So you'll collect currency that's like dark orbs, and like between runs you'll be like, okay, well I failed this dungeon, so I will upgrade this attribute, and then you'll try again, and it'll be easier this time because now you're more upgraded. And you pretty much just repeat that over and over again. And it's a genre that's like an acquired taste, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some people are really not into it at all, and I get it.
I've come across a couple that have really clicked with me, but I'll be your straw man. So Dave, I find roguelikes and roguelites rather exhausting. Would someone such as myself in this commercial enjoy Hades?
I would say so, and I think I'm going to have to recruit you to this religion, because the thing about Hades is that beyond being just a cookie-cutter roguelite, where the emphasis is all on the gameplay, the emphasis on Hades is put into a dozen other things as well, such as the story, and especially the music, because the music is so good, just amazing. It is composed by Darren Korb, who is also the
Darren
voice...
Korb?
No, Darren Korb, you MCU fan.
Well, hey, there is a floating head alert in this game, right?
I was gonna say he
Yes.
sees the Medusa and goes, "Whoa, floating head alert!"
Floating head alert. I'm gonna date that head because you can date that head in the game.
Oh.
But he, as well as being the composer, he's also the voice of Zagreus, which he does fantastic with. It just also the art is amazing as well. There's really nothing about this game that I can detract from, because there is just like you can tell everybody who worked on this game loved what they were doing and put everything they had into it. So even if you're not a super like big roguelike fan, this is still going to charm you just based off of everything else about it. And it's like you really feel basically you feel Zagreus' goal of breaking out of Hades or the underworld, and it pushes you forward even when it's like really hard. So typically in a roguelike game, I would imagine someone like you, sir Tommy, every time you die you probably feel a little frustrated and you don't really feel like you want to go through all that again, right?
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, well, Hades has the opposite effect of this, because when you die, number one, it feels fair. Like the gameplay is tight enough that it doesn't feel like, oh, well, I did the best I could and I still lost because the game wanted me to. It feels like, you weren't skilled enough or you need to upgrade some more, and that's perfectly fine.
I see.
But number two is, like every little bit that you progress in the gameplay loop, getting out of the dungeon, just reveals more about the world that you are curious about and want to know. So the game almost kind of encourages you to die multiple times, because every time you die, you get to come back to the underworld and like talk to your friends and find out more about them and find out more about the world.
So they pretty much cracked the perfect formula in that characters can actively acknowledge that you've died multiple times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dynamic like voice lines, text, story.
From what I've heard, they've just recorded such an absurd amount of dialogue that you'll basically never repeat.
Pretty much. It took me like over 50 runs for them to like start saying generic lines anywhere,
Wow.
which
Jesus
is really
Christ.
impressive. It's really cool. And there are a ton of voice lines that you'll probably completely miss. One example that I really liked is because the main dungeon is split up into 4 different sections. And if you beat the 3rd section, which is like an arena, and there's a bunch of shades, like the souls of dead people kind of cheering you on from the stands. If after you beat that boss, if you, instead of going through like the door to move on to the next area, if you first move up to like the upper left corner of the stadium, there is one single shade there that is holding a banner with Zagreus's face on it, and Zagreus will acknowledge it like, I did that for you, my shade.
I love it.
It's just all these little things. You can tell there's just so much heart and soul in this entire game. But you know, mostly the story I think is just fantastic. And like I said, the sort of feeling like you're really aligned with Zagreus's goal, because every time he fails, you fail. And every time his dad mocks him for failing, you feel that yourself. And then you're like, okay, well, I want to try that again and prove you wrong this time. And it's just awesome how that really sort of marries together and creates this really just like a story you really don't want to stop playing through until you see it to the end.
And everything I've like overlooked as a layman, the art style is fucking gorgeous. You said to yourself that there was all sexy people, but what I like is that art style is very distinct in a way that they all still look like, you know, human. Like they all have just these very authentic features, I guess I would put it. Like, is this Persephone with the pink hair?
With the pink hair,
long pink hair with like green things in it.
Oh no, that's Aphrodite.
Oh, I thought those were like plants and that she was Persephone. Well, it's like obviously she's like very pretty because it's Aphrodite, but her face isn't. She doesn't have like girl face, like sex doll face. She has just like this very human looking like face. You know, like they all actually look like people and they're so expressive. The character designs are very cool.
Yeah, they're all hot in like a conventional way.
Yeah.
They're not like absurd like anime tropes or anything. They feel very grounded and realistic in their design and in the way they talk.
Yeah.
See, I tried to order it for the Switch a month ago, and they're like, yeah, we've got it in stock, and it still hasn't shipped. So I may wait for my Steam Deck to come in to play it.
Yeah, yours is coming in pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, it should be coming in on Monday.
Yeah.
Exciting. You'll have to add me on Steam, and I'll have to add you on Steam as well, Tommy, since yours is coming in.
Absolutely. What was I gonna say? You know, when I think it was like fall 2020 that this game was like really popping off, and every time I looked at Twitter, it was like infinite jest. Like people, I was almost scared by how much people loved this game because people are like, I want to play Hades and never play anything else.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's addicting, man. Just like if you actually do like roguelikes too, it's going to hook you. Like, and it's going to. What I've heard from a lot of people is that it ruins other roguelikes for them because of just how good it is.
I see. It's in my. It really is. I got it for Switch 2. It's in my backlog at the moment, so you know. One of these.
Yeah, right now I'm playing through a game that I feel like Tommy's going to toast later on, so I won't talk about it. But
I wasn't planning to, but.
Oh, interesting. Okay, then I may do that.
All right. Only because if it's the one I'm thinking, and I only say that because out of what I've got written down, two of my other two, none of my things are things you've tried yet. Will, I guess is all I'm saying.
Okay, gotcha.
But I also think I know which one you mean, and I kind of had my moment in last month's news segment when I lost my fucking mind. So I was gonna let someone else take the spotlight on that one.
Okay, I gotcha.
Am I correct?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. No, Dav, yeah, it sounds excellent, and I kind of hear, too, that's, like, I've heard people describe it as you can play Hades very actively or very passively, And I like games like that a lot too, because I try to get some game time in every day, but sometimes it's like I had a long day at work. I need something I can play a little bit mindlessly, but not feel like I'm wasting time. And then like when it gets to be like real shit, you can like really invest yourself. That sounds like another excellent perk.
Yeah, what's nice about it is you don't really have to go all out on every single run you play because it's not like, obviously you have as many attempts as you want, but not only that, throughout the entire dungeon, you're collecting resources that are useful to you outside of the main playthrough because there's the shadow orbs, but then you can also like go fishing, or you can get materials that will help you furnish the underworld. There's a lot of persistent currency that you can collect at any time. So even if you die at the end of the very first section, it's fine because you still made some progress on something.
I like it. All right. Yeah, man.
And not only that, what I really like and really appreciate about it is at any point you can just like save and quit.
All right.
Even during the run, like you can just, if you finish up a room and then move on to the next one, it'll save every time you go through a door.
Oh, wow.
So you can save and quit and then come back and it'll drop you right back where you were.
So like
That's really nice.
I make it to Hades. Let's say this. I make it to Hades. About how long did I spend?
Like how much time did you spend in
like
the
I
run?
die. One run that makes it to Hades. About how long would that take once I'm good enough?
Once you're good enough, about 20 minutes.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, they don't take very long. Obviously, they take a good chunk of time as you're lower level. But as you're lower level, you aren't very likely to actually beat it. Some people have actually, like on the very first like drop in, have completely cleared one full run through.
Nice.
With like no upgrades or anything, which is I think is insane. But if you're that good, then good for you. But
that kind of
it's.
I'm guessing there's an achievement that comes with that.
Probably. Well, I don't know.
It kind of
I don't
reminds
think
me.
there's one for.
Did I ever tell you guys about Ukulele and the Impossible Lair?
You never did.
That only reminds me of that because the premise of that game is that the final level is always open, and it's called the Impossible Lair. But every level, in addition to that one that you beat, you get an extra hit point. So you can potentially walk into that one with 100 extra hits, and it's like hard as shit. And there's an achievement for beating it on your first attempt. But the achievement is specifically for not winning with no extra lives, winning on your first attempt. So when a YouTuber called The Completionist had to do it to get that achievement, he had to reset his game every time he died. Because he has to get every actual achievement.
Oh Jesus.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a Hades principle there, where if there's an achievement for your first drop, you're resetting your game, I want to say.
I don't think they put that in there. I mean, I've checked the achievements. I don't think there's anything that unobtainable.
Unobtainable achievement, don't be attracted to any of the characters.
Oh, extra hard.
Impossible.
Impossible.
This game, very quickly. I mean, I can't stop thinking about the story. It still sticks with me, and I think it's become, without going into spoilers, it's become very relevant for me recently. But overall, it hit a very big emotional string with me. So it shot to like my number 8 spot on my top 100.
Yeah. Sounds like it's well earned.
Definitely. So I hope I converted you to this religion, or at least you'll give it a shot at some point.
At some point, I'm sure I will. A lot of games right now, but I guess you said you want to fuck Zagreus, but who else is like a best boy and girl and in between?
Honestly, the floating head is pretty great.
Damn.
She's just she's like this like nervous wreck who's like always like cleaning the area and stuff, but she's super nice and great. So
Wonderful.
Dav, do you think if she was real and you did date her, every time she'd like come home from work, you'd be like, "Whoa, floating head alert!"
Floating head alert. And I would never explain it to her.
Man. And hey, that also has Greek gods in it. Thor Ragnarok. I think Taika Waititi's Hades is on the way.
Jesus. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. So I will pass off the baton to you, Tommy.
Okay, well, I have a piece of media that's also about a young hero trying to escape the clutches of his father. And it's called Pinocchio.
Tommy's like, it's called What Happened Last Night with Me.
Whoa. What? It's my right to be here, father. What? That sailor suit is too small for me. What? Get away! No. So I would not normally be hopping onto a Disney live-action remake, but this one was relevant to podcast homework that I end up watching a lot of movies for. When one of my favorite podcasts is going to review a movie, I'm probably going to watch it. So I watched Pinocchio the day it came out, and I had...
Oh, so you're like a super mega fan.
Yeah, no, it was great to see. Is Pinocchio like the resident Italian Disney movie? I think that's my culture represented.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's,
I mean, Luca, if you count Pixar, but
yeah, I relate more to like the angry shouting Italians of Pinocchio than the...
So like Stromboli.
Oh yeah, no. I think I had a discussion. I have a circle of friends that are like big in the Disney villain fandom. We were discussing if we were in Descendants, who our parent would be, and me, who's never seen those movies, like just shittily said that mine would be Stromboli, like a fool, and I think that's actually kind of true.
Oh yeah.
So I watched Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio. Original animated Pinocchio, I'd say higher echelon Disney movie. Do you agree with me, Will?
Yeah, I fucking love the
We
original
watched
Pinocchio.
it like recently. It's fucking great. I don't know about top 10. Maybe top 10 though. I'd have to revisit. But there's a lot I'm really really fond of about that movie, and this one almost scientifically retains none of it, of course. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think it's a surprise that that's the case, but you know, it feels like the Disney remakes either are shot for shot recreations or they totally go off and do their own thing. And Pinocchio somehow is down the middle in every poor possible way. And I also, and Robert Zemeckis, like, I don't think there's any director with more of a senior slope than Robert Zemeckis, unfortunately. Like, I would genuinely call him one of the greatest directors ever for like the heyday of Back to the Future and Roger Rabbit, and then he like found out what mocap was and just completely lost his mind. And it's this total
Yeah, because he did Mars Needs
and
Moms.
the Polar Express and Christmas Carol and all this bullshit. You know what he'd say about that bullshit, like the Polar Express?
What?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So Geppetto, you know, he's a clockmaker. He makes the clocks, the cuckoo clocks, and we get it opens in his clock shop. Got to be careful saying that. And at a certain point in night, all of his cuckoo clocks start to like go nuts, and that's like a bit in the old movie. You see all the cuckoo clocks he's made. When they made that bit, that was when Pinocchio was the second Disney movie, so it's all a bunch of unique clocks. I'd say they show 20 clocks in this movie, and 18 of them are carbon copy Disney references.
Yeah, I remember seeing the clip and one's like Frozen.
One's Frozen. I would give Zemeckis Roger Rabbit. He can do that one. He's earned it. But then at a certain point, and then it's like, oh, it's Lion King, and oh no, and then it's like one after another of just like the most jingle key bullshit it could possibly ever fucking be. Tom Hanks is Geppetto, and I've seen this movie, and I've seen Elvis this year, and I do not think Tom Hanks is still an actor, unfortunately. I think America's Dad has somewhere down the line just lost his fucking mind because his past two headlining roles have just been these weird, like, doddering lunatics that I can't make heads or tails of the production of, frankly. Like, it's just they just let him get on set, and I think he's still, like, I've heard him recently in interviews. He's still relatively put together. I don't know why people think Tom Hanks has to be a cartoon, or if he's just like gained so much notoriety and so much credibility that people just let him do whatever he wants, and he'll be just like a complete lunatic and still take the check. Man. So, oh man, Keegan Michael Key is Honest John the Fox, and I was like, don't give him modern buzzwords, don't give him modern buzzwords, don't give him modern buzzwords.
Oh yeah, isn't he like, you're gonna be an influencer and your name will be Chris Pine?
Yeah, fucking shit. They get Pinocchio's villains are so memorable, and they get rid of the best scene of them, which is when Honest John and the coachman are talking in the tavern, and
Oh, they get rid of they never come back
not
as
there at
boys?
all.
What the
That
fuck?
scene is so great because it's like it starts with Honest John being like, the coachman's like, why don't you boys want to make some real money? And Honest John's first reaction is, do you need us to kill someone? And then Coachman one-ups that with, we're taking them to Pleasure Island. And it scares Honest John, which is so portentous of the nightmare that is Pleasure Island. And then, of course, you get that fucking amazing payoff of, and they never come back as boy. And that scene is just gone. Pleasure Island. So Pleasure Island sucks. Did you hear that they change it so they're drinking root beer?
Yeah, they're drinking root beer, and I heard they're like the big bad thing they're doing is smashing
Of
clocks.
all things.
Because like the original Pleasure Island, it was supposed to be tempting and like actual bad things, but they're drinking soda and breaking things that they were told that they could break.
Right, yeah. And it's supposed to look at you breaking these clocks just like your dad makes. Like the most obvious coincidental thing. And I think they like ADR in the lines because like the roller coaster comes in, you just hear like 11 dissonant voices going, that root beer looks good. Pass me some of that root beer. I'll take some root beer. Like,
I mean, they had to make sure that no one thought it was real beer, I guess.
no. I mean, you know what? This movie is definitively not in the Stay Sober verse.
Ah, damn it.
That's a shame.
Man, Stromboli is also phenomenal in the original cartoon, and in this he has maybe some of the worst costume and makeup I've ever fucking seen. Yeah, he doesn't shake his ass for the camera, so that's like an automatic 0 out of 10.
God, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck this. Pinocchio turns into Dash from The Incredibles and like saves his dad by like flutter kicking through the water with his wooden legs, which I don't know how that works. Yeah, it's fucking repugnant. It's truly terrible. And like some people say this is the least bad Disney remake because while Disney remakes made choices that ruined things, I think this is actually, for my money, the worst one. Because they
Oh, worse than The Lion King?
honestly, like something about this one is like Lion King, I feel just an absence of choices in any direction. Whereas this is like Pinocchio's gonna walk by a pile of literal horse shit and stop and stare at it for some reason. And
Oh
He
yeah.
got fingered moment.
I'd like to build the world a home.
I mean, Freddy Got Fingered and Pinocchio are basically the same film.
Yeah, one's scarier than the other though, and I'm not gonna say which one is.
You imagine Rip Torn as Geppetto?
Oh, look at that! The puppet's putting sausages on his fingers.
Well, no, it'd be the puppets putting strings on himself, not sausages, because he's got no
Oh
strings, I
yeah.
guess. Man, poor Rip Torn. I miss him. Ugh. Yeah, no, I don't know why. No, I do know why I subjected myself to this. Pinocchio himself is horrifying. I don't know why they stuck like 1-to-1 with his cartoon. It just doesn't really work. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is Jiminy Cricket, and he just sounds like a guy. He sounds like the first guy you meet on the street trying to do a Jimmy. Oh, I'm up here, and I'm Jiminy Cricket. Like, why would you even get Joseph Gordon-Levitt at that point? And then the ending is him and Geppetto walking into the sunset. And I don't care about spoilers because nothing can be spoiled. It's Pinocchio. And Jiminy goes, "Some say he turned into a real boy, but who can be sure?" I think because they did not want to implicate the horrors of turning animated Pinocchio into a real boy, like, and fully commit to it visually. It kind of
Yeah, I mean,
they kind of hint at it from behind, but they don't commit because I think it would be horrifying.
yeah, it would be like a Lovecraftian entity. As soon as you see it, you're out of there.
Yeah, basically.
Like Scrumpy.
Like Scrumpy.
Like-
No one at home gets to know who Scrumpy is.
They're better off.
Yeah.
Save their souls. So there are a lot of terrible, shitty movies that I will subject myself to from like certain like Star Wars. I knew Rise of Skywalker was going to be terrible. I still watched it. I still watch everything the MCU puts out, even though they're not very good anymore. I absolutely refuse to watch a Disney remake. And I will not start with Pinocchio.
No. Well, it's not like I'm a completionist. I haven't seen Aladdin or Lady and the Tramp, which I'm only laughing at the sheer lack of necessity of these films. Like, it was podcast homework, and I wanted to be in on the funny when they talk about Honest John, like, having a fan cam on Twitter and shit like that.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think they realize how much future damage they're doing to their brand, because the whole thing about Disney is that it made a lot of new things up until about 20 years ago, and people have a lot of nostalgia for those things. And, you know, every once in a while they'll shit out like a Frozen or something that will have some sort of a cultural place. But at this point, if all they're making is remakes, 20 years from now, what are people going to be asking for?
Yeah.
Remakes of the remakes.
Remakes of the remakes, or are they going to have to finally start making new shit?
Disney, like, animated canon is still putting out, like, like, Strange World is coming up, and that's new. We had Encanto last year. So, like, the mainline canon is at least, you know, making some waves, especially when no one could escape from Bruno for, like, 15 months for a solid chunk of time there.
Yeah, but the thing is that those originals, I think there's a case to be made that they perform worse because of the remakes existing. Like, the parents would rather take their kids to see, you know, the Lion King remake. It's like, oh, it's just like my childhood instead of whatever new thing there is.
That's true, but it's also all getting dumped on streaming either way.
That's true.
Pinocchio was not in theaters, nor does it deserve to be.
No.
No.
None of those deserve to be in theaters.
Man. Yeah, but no, I definitely agree. And I guess, like, I guess the dumping of Disney Plus is kind of a testament to that, how Lion King remake also kind of took over the world for a second, and it's dog shit. And stuff like, and Raya and the Last Dragon, which I don't know if it's necessarily the best, is like, does anyone remember that movie? Did that have a footprint at all?
No.
Tragically, at least it's more original. I don't know if it's phenomenal.
It ain't no Frozen.
Yeah, for all the shit I'm talking, Disney Plus still is the home of my favorite movie this year at the moment. So I'm eating crow a little, but I do feel that is a bit of a, that is a rare outlier in the wake and birth of a disgraced CEO being booted from that company. So it is a bit out there. I do think it's a lightning in a bottle situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For folks at home, I'm talking about how Turning Red is basically the first Lasseter-free Pixar film, and it kind of shows. Anyway, I guess I'll pass the ball now. Will, why don't you go ahead?
I guess that's me. So as I mentioned before, I'm gonna toast a little game that I've been playing, and that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. It's a JoJo fighting game made by Bandai Namco. And it's just super clean. There's a lot of cool what-if battles in the story. Some of them don't always make sense, but some of them are really funny. Like, Gyatio only has what-if battles against people with guns. But then other stuff is like, oh, what if, Jonathan fought Part 3 Dio? And I think that's a really cool idea, especially because they're all voiced. But the big thing I think that shines in this is the gameplay. I will say non-stand users can be pretty underpowered, but stand users are a ton of fun to play, especially because there are two options with them. You can do something called a flash cancel, which is spending a bar of meter to just cancel whatever you're doing and go back into an advantage state. Or you can do a stand cancel, which is in the middle of a combo, your stand automatically turns on or turns off. And it has been so fun just messing around with turning off, turning on, canceling, and doing combos that I haven't really gotten tired of it yet.
What about Bro and Mamoni style?
Oh, yeah. That actually brings me to my next point about why I think this game is so good. So they added a few new characters, but overall, like, you guys know how in Smash Bros. The DLC all has like a gimmick that sets them apart from the base roster?
Yeah.
I feel like every character in the entire game has a gimmick. Like, all of them are DLC, basically. Like, Speedwagon can summon his goons and then do combos with that. And, you've got a character like Prosciutto and Pesci who can, have an age meter where the more you hit them with certain moves, the lower their stats go. And then you've got Poochie who can steal your stand. It just doesn't really get tiring. Also, I think I have to mention the music a bit, because especially for the new characters, if you guys don't know, JoJo has a pretty big spot in music history because the stands, before they're localized, are named after bands and songs. So, like, in Part 5, there's a stand called Crazy Diamond and Echoes, which are all songs, and they get localized into things like Shining Diamond. But what's really cool is that, especially with the new characters, they put in hints of the bands that they're based on in their songs. So, like, there's a character named Speedwagon, Robert E.O. Speedwagon, and that's obviously supposed to be REO Speedwagon, and in his theme, you can hear a bit of Can't Fight This Feeling. Gyatio, who has White Album, you can hear a bit of Birthday by the Beatles. And then Prosciutto and Pesci, their stands are Grateful Dead and Beach Boy, and I was listening to their song, and I've noticed that the guitar riff on the main part of the song is a Grateful Dead guitar riff, and then like Beach Boys-esque guitar joins in like midway through.
They go. And like the original lineup of character, I'd say the original All-Star Battle still has one of the best fighting soundtracks ever. Almost all those theme songs are bangers. But I don't think they really went hard with the musical references, as far as I've noticed at least, until the update with that lineup of 10 newbies.
Yeah, and I'm honestly surprised that they got away with this. But I'm glad they did. There's one note I will make. Some characters have things about them that I think were overlooked. For example, and I'm not complaining about this, I think it's just important to note. When you do a down-heavy attack with every single character, it knocks them down. But for some reason, when you do a down-heavy attack with Dio, it launches them into the air, and gives you another combo. And I think that is absolutely fucking insane. Completely appropriate for Dio, but I think it's a mistake.
I do think that's like a big thing that's kind of holding All-Star Battle back from being like a truly like FGC level fighting game is that they're still beholden to like, of course, Dio's one of the strongest characters. Of course, Uchi basically has a win button in Maiden Heaven, stuff like that. They want to be.
Oh well, not anymore. He got a Maiden Heaven taken
That's
away.
right. Yeah, they wanted to scrub that, but they're very beholden to making the characters feel authentic. And for a series like JoJo, that's absurdly difficult. But I also respect it. But I do, it's worth mentioning that's like the reason this isn't at Evo is because I feel like maybe half the roster isn't applicable. Maybe.
Well, I mean, in Super Smash Bros. Melee, only like 5 characters are ever used.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See, the thing is, even characters that have really low damage output, it's kind of like a JoJo fight. Because in JoJo, it's not about who's stronger, it's about who's smarter.
Yeah.
So you have to use your toolkit to be smarter than your opponent. So, like, for Dio, you can just kind of go forward and steamroll them, but you have to be a little smarter, or else you're going to get countered and then comboed into oblivion.
Have you tried the online play yet? Did they get their shit together?
No, but I mean, people are demanding that, like, they're like, give us rollback netcode, and, Bandai Namco's been pretty good with that, considering that they put out Tekken, so I feel like they're going to add it, at least I hope they do, because I think this could be, like, a really solid FGC game, like, especially among the ranks of, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ or Grand Blue Fantasy. Like, I feel like it's...
What we're waiting for is people to get that proper online experience so they can actually practice properly against other humans.
Yeah. But, like, I think it definitely is clean, and I think it could definitely, be at a fighting game competition. It just kind of needs some people to really discover it.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it too. My goal is to clear. You get with I was like, oh, what if battle is going to be like what 10 or so extra fights? The All-Star Battle mode where it compiles story events and what if battles is 104 fucking battles. So you definitely get your money's worth if that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite one, I like Yukako trying to kill Passione for stealing Kokichi's bag, and she fights Bruno and Giorno. I think that's the best that character's ever been used, frankly. What else? There was Akira versus Trish because he wants to like recruit her for his band. I thought that was a really fun one. Do you think they knew what they were doing adding in Pet Shop?
I'm not quite sure.
I wouldn't put it past them.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a Dio main. I know, Dav, you don't play fighting games very much, but who do you think you'd main?
I mean, back when I played the original, I played a lot of Jotaro.
Oh yeah, and now there's 2 of them because there's part 3 and part 4 Jotaro.
Getting out of hand.
My favorite thing about the original All-Star Battle is that we had that on my PS3 in our dorm room, and we'd have people over who knew nothing of JoJo, and I loved gauging their reactions. We had our friend who like Kakyoin, it would be like Kakyoin versus Jotaro, and they'd summon their stands, and our friend Isaac would just be like, "Where do I get my robot? Why does he get a robot?" I do love just like out of context JoJo. The normies. It's the fun thing.
Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say. Back to you, Davey.
Okay, so we'll take a little step outside of video games for a bit. For the last I'd say about a month and a half or so, I've been watching sort of this I guess you could call it like a law drama. That's part of sort of a bigger franchise. With some sort of, I would guess, comedy and a lot of memes came out of it. And of course, I'm talking about She-Hulk.
And the coming spin-off, Slippin' Jenny.
Slippin' Jenny. I am obviously going to roast She-Hulk because I don't understand how anybody can like this show.
I genuinely thought you were like diverting
Talking about Better Call Saul.
No, what is that?
It's a spin-off of the Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh, they kind of fell off after they put the dog in the show,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I didn't really follow up with that. But She-Hulk, anyway, back to She-Hulk. It's obviously the latest entry in the MCU. It is about Hulk's cousin. I think her name is Jen.
Yeah, that's why I was Slippin' Jenny.
But yeah, Slippin' Jenny. She obviously goes by She-Hulk because she is a Hulk who is a she. And this is supposed to be kind of a law comedy set in the MCU. And it makes some very strange decisions in terms of its storytelling and the way that it is structured and the way that it is advertised, especially. Because, I mean, they really built up Mark Ruffalo and Jamila Jamil, and neither of them are in the show very much at all. I mean, Jamila Jamil has been showing up more, so I guess maybe they were just building up to her. But also, Tim Roth, Abomination, he's there for like 15 minutes and then he fucks off and disappears.
Oh, really? They were like pushing him to the front so hard.
They were, and
there's one guy in MCU marketing who thinks the world loves Abomination, and that for Shang-Chi and this, and then they're reminded no one fucking does. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, they bring, I think he's only in for like 2 episodes, and he's only in for like 10 minutes of each. He's really not in very long at all, and then they kind of just close the case on him and they're done with it. I don't know if they're going to come back to, because at this point 6 episodes have aired and there are only 3 left, and Titania has kind of taken the spotlight at this point as who's probably going to be the villain for the rest of the show. But it's kind of a mess because it's really hard to tell who the antagonist is supposed to be. Because they introduced also like this faction of, I guess they're magicians or something, who like they attack her once and imply they're going to be a threat, and I don't think they went anywhere with that either.
I hate the way MCU does magic so much. I just did the biggest fucking eye roll at that concept.
Yeah, they really do like the magic in this show, though, because there's also an episode where she defends a magician who, and I will say this is the only part of the show that I think is actually funny, is this episode where this magician who has like, like the Doctor Strange like ring that lets him summon portals. He basically does magic shows where people get really bored until he decides to finally summon a portal. And for some fucking reason, what he does is he just takes a random drunk chick from the audience and sends her to another dimension. Like, intentionally,
Okay.
He just like sends her to hell.
Basically, because she's like on the stage, he summons the portal and is like, "Ooh, look at this portal, look at this other dimension. Go in the fucking portal," and he like makes the chick go into the portal, and She-Hulk has to well, actually she's on the opposite side of this case, like trying to prosecute against this guy for sending random women into portals to hell. But the reason I think it's funny is mostly because the actress playing the girl really sells it. She like plays this. Her name is like Madison with a Y and 2 N's, if that says anything about her character.
Oh yeah, everyone is like, I mean, I don't know if everyone is freaking out over her, but like I see posts on Facebook that's like, the fan favorite Madison is getting her own show.
She's the only part really of the show that I have enjoyed so far, because when he summons the portal behind her and there's like a bunch of like hellspawn creatures showing up, she turns around and just says, "Ew."
Wait, how is she okay if she went to hell?
She explains that she like went in there and she said like, "Oh, it was fun, and then it was scary, and then it was fun again, and then she like met a dragon or something that like helped her go to Wong's house." I don't fucking understand it. Okay, I'm not trying to question this too much. I understand it's a stupid comedy show. I'm turning my brain off for a little bit.
She went to hell and she's like, I met this guy named Zagreus and killed his father.
Oh. Anyway, so there's the good part I can say about the show, because that basically everything else about it is terrible. And I don't think it's like an MCU thing, like a bunch of Twitter trolls that seem to sort of make it like, oh, it's a big woman. That's terrible. Like, I know a lot of people seem to be saying, oh, it's just like a scapegoat that the marketing is using. Like, there aren't really guys who are saying it's bad because it's a woman, but, you know, I've been on that side of Twitter, and yes, I know that there are guys who are saying that. But, you know, outside of that, it's just a poorly written, poorly structured show, because, like I mentioned, I can't really tell who the antagonist it is. It's kind of episodic, but kind of not. The first villain they introduce really is Titania, and then she disappears for like 3 episodes and comes back and is suddenly a threat again. And then I think in the most recent episode, She-Hulk just straight up defeats her, and I think she's probably gonna disappear now again. And then of course Abomination, not really a thing there anymore. The magician guys, I have no fucking idea. Like, I think that if this show just wasn't pretending to be a big like action extension of the MCU and was just trying to be like its own comedy show, I think that would probably make it stronger, even though it's not very funny.
You know, I was gonna say, like, the MCU stuff I like best tends to break the structure a bit. Like, the honeymoon phase with WandaVision was largely because it did some clever stuff and, you know, some authentic looking shots of the old style sitcom, and I was wondering if this feels like a similar divergence, at least to the degree it diverges, but it sounds like that might not be the case.
No, because it has the concept in play, and like the writers publicly admitted that they don't know anything about writing a realistic or believable court. So
oh
they
my
kind of
god.
they just kind of don't try. So it's pretty much every time you see a scene where they're like actually in court, they are either doing things completely against the book or they get interrupted before they really need to say anything.
Oh, thank God, we almost had to have court there in our lawyer show. Man.
Yeah.
I'd still say the most egregious looking thing to me is just like how embarrassing the special effects are, honestly.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
is disgusting. It is awful.
Friggin' Jen looks like Grum from Tim and Eric. Is the comparison I keep pulling.
Here's the thing, though. Every other MCU show or every other MCU property in general, I think, has a tendency to do way too much of showing the actor's face. Like they take off their mask and their helmet a lot. This show does not do it enough because it feels like most of the time she is in She-Hulk form and she does not need to be in She-Hulk form.
And I think some of the people
she has
were
complete control over which she's in.
Some people were like, well, you're just not used to seeing the Hulk effects on a woman. It looks different. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm starting to think Hulk always looked bad too. I don't know.
It doesn't even look as good. I don't think it even looks as good as 2008 Hulk. It's bad CG. It's awful.
Really bad. Just like, oh man, every time I just picture her, it's like she's like, I don't know, it's just the energy of like a Jolly Green Giant commercial.
it's like her face is too flat.
Yes. And she like,
I mean, in general, she doesn't blend against the background at all either.
You know, it's not flat.
her ass when she twerked
Yeah,
with Megan Thee
you
Stallion.
read
Is
my
that what you're getting
mind.
at, Tommy?
Megan Thee Stallion, her name is given higher billing than Benedict Wong on
Jesus
the credits.
Christ.
Oh
Benedict
no.
Wong is like in every episode at this point.
Oh,
My God. You know what?
that is genuinely depressing.
Man. Slippin' Jenny. Twerking Jenny. I don't know, man. So
Yeah, but go ahead.
what I hear from some people who have watched it is that the first episode is a lot of Bruce and Jen being really awful to each other too. Like they're just invalidating
Yes.
each other's issues a lot. Like, you don't deserve to be angry. No, you don't deserve to be angry. Fuck you. Fuck you. Ah! Like, just being very like volatile when they're, I don't think supposed to be. And like, as someone who's read his fair share of Hulk comics, some including She-Hulk, the gamma radiation doesn't turn you into an anger monster like Hulk no matter what. It takes the trait most suppressed in you, and that's your Hulk form. So Bruce Banner is a wussy pushover. He becomes a big angry Hulk. There's a villain called the Leader who is like a burnout thug idiot. And when he hulks out, he actually becomes incredibly smart. His head gets huge. So Jen Walters was this woman who was having trouble with her social and sexual liberation and became this like confident and powerful and liberating woman. She was an iconic character, which it looks like the show retains some of that with her carrying men off to bed and stuff, which you won't hear me complaining about. But to kind of bring that, she was a liberating character in comics because she was one of the earliest characters artists were freely showing be sexually active. It was a running gag that her bed in her apartment was always snapped in half, I think. To have them kind of spin it all the way back around to like an anger thing, and of course all the Hulks are the same. One sounds like a lore choice that's going to bite the MCU in the ass because that's what they tend to do, is make things simpler before they realize they have to make it more complicated. And two, I think is just really reductive in a character in a way to the character in a way that I'm not entirely about.
Well, also, I know, like, in the beginning, she's, like, in a car crash and Bruce has to transfer the blood to her to make her survive, right? Like, in the comics.
Well, maybe in the comics, yeah, but not in the show.
Yeah.
Okay, in the show, I heard they do the most ass-backwards thing. They get in a car crash, and then Bruce is completely passed out, and then Jen drags Bruce out, and Bruce, like, happens to bleed on one of her wounds, and that's all it takes.
Yep.
Super bizarre.
That's it. That's what does it.
Golly.
It is insane.
How is Jamila Jamil? Because I like her a lot in other stuff, but
they give her a really strange American accent, and I don't know why.
No.
Is Titania supposed, like, does she have to be American? Is that, I haven't read the comics, so I don't know.
She's a relatively minor villain. I cannot fathom that they couldn't retcon her a bit to have Jamila Jamil's proper accent.
Yeah, her typical British accent would have, like, fit this character perfectly. Her American accent just sounds so strange if you know what she actually sounds like.
Yeah, no, oh boy. MCU is bad with accents. I was just thinking the other day about how fucking Florence Pugh sounds like her dialect coach is Boris and Natasha. Like, Kate the Bishop.
Kate the Bishop.
Kate the Bishop.
But yeah, as you were saying, they do a lot of invalidating of each other's like trauma, but I think she really steps over the line with invalidating Bruce's trauma because he's seen some shit. There's the infamous scene that I think Disney has done a pretty good job of suppressing and making people forget about at this point, where she basically says that she's better at controlling her anger because she goes through worse shit than Bruce, which is entirely bullshit. And again, I'm not going to like invalidate the experiences that women go through on a day-to-day basis. I know it's bad. Bruce tried to kill himself, and he lost his girlfriend to a space monster. So I don't know. I don't think Jennifer Walters, cis white lawyer, has gone through much worse than that. But correct me if I'm wrong.
They would never be able to get away with that if they weren't going full like sillification of the Hulk. Because my beef with the MCU Hulk is that Hulk comics can sometimes be existentially terrifying with the shit Bruce goes through. And then in Avengers Endgame, he's like, hey, dab, don't forget to dab! Which, if they were committing fully to what a torturous existence the Hulk is, they would never get away with that in a million fucking years. No.
It's depressing. I don't know why they feel the need to put down everything that they've built up just to make the new guys look good.
I mean, I think you've kind of got the reason there. They're trying to make the new guys look good because they know that they can't hang on to the old guys forever.
I would say Hawkeye did a really good job of balancing the relationship between Kate and Clint, in that it's very clear Kate is learning a lot from Clint, and he's much more experienced and much more fastidious with what's going on. But she kind of helps with that emotional core. It's not entirely her being like, watch this old man. He's clearly much more skilled, but it's also not him learning nothing. He's learning some like emotional intelligence from her. That's why, Hawkeye I think is one of the better things they've done recently, and I think that's no small part of it. Whereas it sounds like She-Hulk and Hulk are like just constantly one-upping each other, often in favor of She-Hulk.
I would even say that that would be happening if Hulk didn't disappear. He kind of leaves at the end of the first episode and never comes back because I guess Mark Ruffalo is too expensive now.
Golly. He's off.
But we'll see. Again, there's the 3 episodes left, so maybe he'll come back.
He'll come back and he'll dab, and that'll be the end of it.
He's off filming American Train to Busan, is it?
Oh,
or
yeah.
No, Parasite.
No, American
Sorry.
Parasite.
I'm a Korean film, getting American
Parasite.
adaptations mixed up. Parasite. God. Freaking hell world we live in. Not great.
Squid Game in real life.
Squid Game!
Super Mario in real life.
I gotta tell you guys the story. I was with some of my coworkers, three teachers, and one of us watches one of our coworkers' kids. She has meetings till a little bit late, so she gets one of us to watch her like little boy, like 5 or so. And we're talking about how like the breadth of media that's inappropriate for their age our students are watching. And this kid is like, I think 4 or 5. And my coworker who watches him goes, yeah, I mean, like 80% of our students were obsessed with Squid Games last year. And the 5-year-old just turns around and goes, Squid Game?
Well, it's probably because he watches like Mr. Beast and shit.
Probably.
Yeah.
Man.
He like recreated that.
Squid Games. All right.
Well, one more criticism I do want to get out about this show that I think is especially egregious is it's, and again, not invalidating the experiences women go through. I know men can be shitty. Every single man character in this show is awful. Like
even Wong?
Wong is, I think, a special case just because he's already an established character, but he is a bit of a buffoon. And that's the other thing. If a male character isn't a shitty, terrible, awful human being, just a nasty, terrible character, they're completely stupid.
Damn, did they do that with Daredevil too, or is he not shown up yet?
He's not in yet. So we will see what they do with him.
Man.
But I posted this in like a review on Letterboxd. There's a lawyer character that they work with who at one point, while they're in a bar kind of just having a conversation, he says this word for word, there's a hot chick over there, I'm gonna go talk to it.
Oh,
Oh, to it.
Yes.
certified woman
Christ.
moment.
And then later, you mentioned this earlier. There was the part in the advertising where she like carries that dude off to bed. This was like after a round of her like just like speed dating a bunch of guys on a dating app. And all of them were either like trying to fetishize her, or there was one guy who was like he was like, "Oh, thanks for the drinks," and then he just fucked off and let her pay for them.
Jesus.
And then the guy that she carried off to bed, who was like very, very nice, and she noted was like very, very attractive, is like as soon as morning hits, he leaves and straight up like says to her face, like, "I wouldn't want to fuck you if you were just Jen. I only like you because you're She-Hulk." But she tries to play it off like, "Oh, it's okay because he was hot."
Oh my god.
What?
Yeah, like unironically, they try to make him out as like sympathetic and like okay for saying this because it's all right because he's a hot like.
That's the one time like a dude character is like portrayed in a good light.
Pretty much. I mean, they have another lawyer friend who's a guy who is nice, but he's kind of an idiot.
God, this would never happen if Saul Goodman worked there.
That's true.
Oh man.
Like again, I don't no invalidation of women's experiences. I don't think it's this bad out there for them. I don't think it's that like comically evil.
To be fair, no one's ever been able to turn into a green monster woman, but
that's true. You know, maybe once you do
That's
that,
the reason dudes are so bad in that world, because of She-Hulk.
I didn't even mention the guy whose superpower is being able to kill himself and come back to life, and he does it every time a woman starts talking to him because he doesn't like talking to them.
What?
Jesus.
I'm sorry?
Like, he actually dies, or he's just got, like, invulnerability?
He dies, and then he comes back to life. He, like, at one point, two of the women characters are, like... They're getting into an argument with him because he's a shitty guy who, like, every time he wants to get out of a marriage, he kills himself and fakes his death. They start arguing with him, and then he just crashes through a window, lands on a car, and fucking dies, and then he just gets up and walks away.
So do people just assume, oh man, he's dead forever? Because you got to catch on, he could come back.
Like, oh shit, this is the time.
You just have to watch it for yourself. It's a fucking train wreck. I don't understand how they came up with that.
Because I'm picturing it like they say, man, I can't believe he did that. And then he just, like, gets, like, do they... I don't. Do they forget?
I don't know how it works.
Because it's like...
No, because all of his exes come back and sue him. That's why he's in the show. Because they realize he's still alive.
Okay, I see.
But he keeps killing himself anyway because he's afraid of confrontation or whatever.
That's got to be a mine for those, like, slander gifts. Like, we can take him dying over and over again and be like... I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. Fire Emblem fans, when their main character has less than 8 colors in their hair.
Colgate Chan.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that one.
Oh yes. Well, okay. Enough about She-Hulk because I'm going to turn into that guy pretty soon if we keep talking about it. So off to you, Tom.
All right. Man, I've got a small handful of things. I'm having a hard time deciding what to do next. I think I'm going to go all in for my next topic on an indie game I recently wrapped called Endling, Extinction is Forever. So, this is a game that occurs in a dystopia where you play as a mother fox and you have to platform to feed and protect your fox cubs. The game opens with her giving birth to a few cubs. It has this very pretty cel-shaded art style. It kind of reminds me of like... It's kind of like if Amaterasu in real life. It's really cool.
Amaterasu in real life.
Dog bones! So you play as the fox mama, and your babies are following you around. You have to protect them from predators and humans, and you have to grab them food. And it's a pretty simple game. You live through 30, basically, it is you leave your den, you hunt for the length of a night since you're nocturnal. When it gets to be daytime, you gotta scurry back, because that's when dangerous stuff starts to come out. And you play 30 nights, and then the game's over. So you can wrap it. My playthrough was probably like 5 or so hours, generously. Um, and so, but it also warrants multiple playthroughs for reasons I'll get to. I only rented it, so I probably won't be doing more than one. I got what I needed out of it, and I don't think I could emotionally endure playing it more than once because this is a game very much designed to create stress out of hurting you. You got a hunger meter the whole time. You're carrying around your 3 babies, and they will gradually get hungry, of course. You gotta hunt down rats and pigeons and find little bits of fruit. It's really hard to keep 3 babies alive. I starved my first one. Uh, and when your baby dies, their model doesn't just go away. You're on that hub world, and their corpse will stay there for the remainder of your playthrough. Every time you go past that point of the
Jesus
And
Christ.
every time you pass it, the fox mom's ears will like go down in mourning to acknowledge it. um so I lost a baby to starvation, and then you immediately notice, oh no, they're not nearly as hungry because I'm only feeding 2 babies now. Shit. This got easier, but also harder. There's really cool bit like there's the main object is keeping your kids alive by feeding them. So sometimes if you're like desperate for food, you can dig through trash and that doesn't feed them. Like trash is everywhere. It's dystopian future. You can feed them garbage. It sounds like an allegory for real life parenting. But that like kind of has like a slight affect on their health, so you don't want to do that too often. You want to find freshly killed rats and birds, of course. There's also a mechanic where humans will be around, and sometimes they'll feed you and be kind, sometimes they'll shoot you or try to skin you and break your neck in a brutal fashion. As far as in my experience, I had no way to tell who was who. Which, if you're a fox, what I kind of like, they didn't indicate a sweet looking human will feed you, at least as far as my experience goes. It just indicated you can never judge a book by its cover. You can take a risk and approach this human if you can't find a way out. So like in real life, it's like you can't just tell by a look on somebody's face if they'll fucking kill you or not, especially if you're a fox. I like the physics of this game a lot. You do just kind of, when a game perfectly captures the gallop of an animal as they speed across a landscape. I think this game does that exceedingly well. It's a harsh winter, and I just I don't know, it's like 80 in Colorado recently, and I just felt chilly playing this game, if that's any indicator. It just creates this really, there's some stunning shots in this game where you're just running across a bridge to reach a place where there's some food, and the fox mom just looks really great against a sunset, majestically moving across. It looks like a beautiful painting. Man. What's neat too is you gradually teach your cubs cub skills, which are little means that they can kind of fend for themselves. Like if you reach a certain point, they'll learn a skill where they can squeeze into tiny places. I reached a point in the game where 2 of my cubs had starved. I had one left. And I reached a point in the game where all of a sudden my cub squeezed into a small space and got its own food without me. And I was like, I'm not a total failure. I did something right here for once. I could leave. I could leave as I am. It's one of those just wonderful achievements. I didn't get every Cub skill. I found, because it's like, what you get done is what you get done in the span of those 30 nights. And if you miss out on stuff, then that's for a second playthrough, if you could ever bear to play this again. So there's some Cub skills I missed, and I'd be curious to look into how those come about, but it is such an emotionally draining game in that you're constantly trying to escape just these harrowing themes of death that I don't think I have it in me to ever play it again. But it was a very special experience.
Yeah, I mean, the way you describe it, I think you've definitely sold me in the fact that I'm never
Uh,
going in within 15 million feet of
I
this
do not
game.
think you'd be able to handle it, honestly. Like you're probably more of
Yeah,
an
because
animal lover than I am, and lucky for you, I'm a dog lover. But yeah, I don't think this is for you.
Yeah,
no,
you
I
should
like.
mod it to use human babies.
Oh, see, then I'd be okay with it.
So is the human like all on all fours, like
Yeah, it was like crawling
Yeah.
around, and the babies are just little baby corpses everywhere.
What if it was baby chickens and you're avoiding a meat grinder the whole time?
Oh, Jesus, Tommy.
Christ. What I was gonna touch on something else. Yeah, there's you learn skills like you can scratch posts. So there's hunters and furriers trying to catch you for your fur, and you can scratch posts to draw hunters over there to think you're still there. So they'll go to a certain place at the end of the night. It's a really cool game. I'm really glad I gave it a play. I think it is one of those, there's the certain genre of indie thing where it's like basically a movie you control, but I do think it adds enough there's slight bits of combat with like predator animals and hunters, and you do have a lot of autonomy over the skills you collect and the paths you take. It's almost like, imagine if you had a Metroidvania, but with no super defined goal, like you're just surviving through 30 nights, and it almost functions like Pikmin. And that you can send out your cubs to do smaller things that you can't fit through these small gaps. Cub can crawl through. A cub can reach a high up place that maybe you can't. But every single one of those Pikmin has the emotional resonance of your fucking child. So
Well, yeah, I mean, that feels a lot like when I send my little baby son into somebody's house to steal their laundry. Sometimes he dies, I just can't control it.
Yeah, I know how you feel, Dad. There was this one time I was really craving a Domino's pizza, so I was like, hey, go get me one, but I didn't specify to him to get one that was already in a box, so...
Oh, was your son the Noid?
Yeah, he was.
Wait, what?
Holy crap. His son's the Noid, Tommy.
What the f... That's Endling, Extinction is Forever. Alright, one more rotation, and then we do have quite a bit of news to cover. We got one more topic in us.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Bill, it's back to you.
Alright, so recently for movie night, we rewatched In the Mouth of Madness. And I'm gonna toast that because every time I watch it, I discover a new layer to it that makes me love it even more. So, the deal with In the Mouth of Madness for the people at home is it's about this dude named John Trent, and he's an insurance agent, and he's not very trustworthy, and this author, Sutter Kane, goes missing, and he's like, oh, this is a scam to, get insurance money. Sutter Kane writes, like, Lovecraftian stories, and so throughout the story, and, this is like a 30-year-old movie now, so don't feel bad about spoiling it, it's revealed that the stuff that Sutter Kane writes comes true. So, in the end, it turns out that John Trent and everyone is also just a bit of his writing. So it combines two of my favorite things, which is Lovecraftian horror with John Carpenter existentialism. And I think if you just look at it from every angle, it just gets better. For example, there are things that don't make sense in the reality of the story. For example, there's a kid that rides by on a bike, and then later he rides by and he's like an old man, and it's kind of creepy, right? And you'd think, wow, that didn't serve any purpose but to, be a quick scare. But if you consider the fact that this world and the things happening in it are the works of a pulpy horror writer, that he includes those things because it helps spook the audience reading the book and helps get them more fans.
Yeah. Oh, I follow.
It's kind of the same with, there are a few cheap jump scares, but when you consider the fact that, hey, this entire thing is just a book that is trying to get sold to the general public, and the general public likes stuff like that, it all kind of makes sense.
Okay, yeah, no, I actually really like that. It reminds me a little of Galaxy Quest, how inconsistencies in the meta can just, get people killed and shit.
No, definitely. Sam Neill's the lead, and he's awesome. I think the cool thing, too, is that Sam Neill's character is very kind of two-dimensional up until the end, And again, that's because that's who he was written as. He only really starts to develop as a character and become a person till the end when it's too late and everything is gone and he is the only person left alive. In addition, again, I'm just kind of noticing all these layers. So the whole thing is that Sutter Kane wrote these characters into existence, but you have to wonder the idea of that. So does everything these characters do correlate to the book, and do they have any free will? Or are there times when they are like written and then they deviate from the course? And I think that's kind of a terrifying idea for the characters in the movie existing as a fictional character, not knowing that whatever you do, it may just have been something that, you know, an author wrote just to get a cheap scare. It's definitely a meta horror movie, but every time I watch it, I kind of notice something new, and I really love it that way.
Yeah, and it leaves just enough room for that level of interpretation. I think that it doesn't necessarily spell it out, but like you're saying, like, oh, maybe it's a little, there's enough to say maybe, and I think that makes it just fun enough.
Yeah. And I know it's, not everyone's cup of tea, but I think Carpenter particularly did a good job with just like, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, for those of you at home who don't know. And so, like, obviously this really drew me in, but as much as I do like the Lovecraft elements of this, I kind of think the best part of the script is just the layers of how much of this is real, how much of this is predetermined, and what. And the cool thing at the end is, after wondering all of this, we have to wonder, why does this even matter? Because in the end, it's only a movie. But at the same time, because we think that, John Trent is still a living creature. So we're just like, oh, it's just a story, but in his reality, this is his life. And so should we care? Shouldn't we care?
That is a perfect little button to end on. Like, they know how to play, like, dip the yo-yo just enough in where they're headed.
Yeah, because like at the end of the movie, John Trent, so Sam Neill's character, watches the movie we just watched, and all he can really do is just laugh, but then at the end he just says, "Oh my god," and then that's how the movie ends.
It's the guy watching Truman Show for the first time and thinking he might be living it.
Yeah. Except this time he knows he's living it.
Right.
I feel like John Carpenter, he's got to be one of my favorite directors by now, because I think The Thing is a perfect movie. I think In the Mouth of Madness is probably, or no. Big Trouble in Little China is my second favorite of his. Then In the Mouth of Madness.
Have you watched The Mist yet?
He did that?
Oh, wait, am I thinking of the right one? Oh, hold on. It's not... So, wait. No, it's actually... I'm sorry, The Fog. You can see where I got confused. The Fog.
No, I don't think I have, but I probably should.
I liked that one a lot. I did, I didn't get to see all of his, but I did a marathon for my podcast homework of Carpenter ones. It's not my favorite of his, but it's my favorite I hadn't seen before then. My favorite new one.
What are your guys' favorite John Carpenter films?
The Thing.
Which one?
The Thing.
The one who bursts in and says,
"Which one?
It's clobbering time, Slippin' Jenny. Let's twerk for the MCU." Yes! Oh, man. That's probably Big Trouble in Little China.
It's fucking awesome,
there,
yeah.
I think Halloween's up there too.
Halloween's hard for me, and I think I talked about this a while back, but like, you can't truly enjoy Halloween unless you've never seen a slasher before, because it's like, you watch Halloween and it's like, oh wow, look at all these, cliches, but then you realize that Halloween invented every single cliche. But it's still kind of hard to watch because it's like, well, this is what invented it, but at the same time, I've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, it is. I tend to get more. I get very fascinated by like this is where all the cliches come from movie. So I tend to be on the more positive end of that one, but I do see where you're coming from.
Yeah, but other than that, that's pretty much all I've got to say about In the Mouth of Madness. I think you should definitely, for the people at home, give it a try, even if you haven't seen a lot of John Carpenter. It's just a really cool film to think about, and it's got really awesome and unique effects too.
Right, yeah, I'm into it.
Anyways, Dav.
Oh, yeah. So, over the last, I'd say, month and a half, I've been watching this. I guess you'd call it like a law drama. It has sort of bits of comedy sprinkled in there every once in a while, though, and some action. And it's part of a pretty beloved franchise.
Wait, Will, did you add the arrow to your stand?
Oh no, bites the duster.
Oh.
Anyway, Dav, it's your turn for a toast.
Yes, and I'm gonna toast. She Better Call Saul.
Down, 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 down.
Oh my god! And you're watching Breaking Bad right now, Will, so you know how.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait to toast it until I finish it. I know I'm going to because it's fucking incredible. But it is honestly hilarious how much I've been spoiled on through memes. Like there's a moment that's like super fucking emotional and kind of dreadful for a character. And I texted Dav and I was like, "That's where that fucking GIF comes from."
I mean, there's a couple of them you've already told me about that are like huge.
Well, I know like the Walter White falling down stuff, I know that's like the biggest moment in the show and it got ruined.
Me when Wario's ass is smaller in Mario Kart. Oh.
They took my fucking ass. I can't shit. I think Breaking Bad's probably my number one just TV show in general. So Better Call Saul, I started watching this like years ago, but I didn't really get around to finishing it because, it was still airing. I mean, this show has been airing for about 7 years now, and it just finished like last month. And so I decided to stop until it was done. So I went ahead and watched it all, finished it up, and I can probably safely say I think that this is almost on par with Breaking Bad in terms of quality. It is so good. So, but I think that people coming in directly from Breaking Bad and not really understanding like what it's supposed to be about might be a little disappointed or caught off guard, because the first 3 seasons are essentially just like a self-contained lawyer show, but they're a really good self-contained lawyer show. Like if this wasn't connected to Breaking Bad at all, I would still think it was amazing. But they kind of sprinkle in throughout just this idea of the drug cartel and sort of what they're up to. And then the last 3 seasons really puts the pedal to the metal and basically makes that the forefront. It kind of flips. But obviously Saul Goodman himself is there throughout the entire thing. He's the center of it all, and Bob Odenkirk is a fantastic actor. He does amazing in this.
I fucking love Bob Odenkirk.
But he's so good in this show. He does a very good job of playing a character that is objectively not a super good person, but is still very likable. He's not necessarily, I wouldn't say he's a bad person per se. He's definitely not evil by any means. He's just very self-centered, very selfish. So he'll do a lot of things that are just like to give him personal gain, essentially.
I feel like that's where the Breaking Bad kind of writing shines, because like everyone in Breaking Bad is no saint, but it's almost impossible to like truly hate any character because they all have some good in them. in some place they have some good man.
Yeah. Saul good, man. But another thing about this show is that it obviously it's a prequel series. It is sort of the lead up to Breaking Bad, and it by the end of the show it pretty much merges with it. But at the beginning of every season, they will show like a black and white sort of like a prologue at the beginning of each season, and it is just kind of showing what he's up to after Breaking Bad, which is interesting to see. And the show finishes I think the last like 2 or 3 episodes are just what happens to him after Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
So
I can't imagine you're going to want to give that away. That sounds like quite the revelation.
No, definitely not. There's a lot that I cannot talk about this show because it's, you know, the less you know going in, the better usually. And another thing about this show is like it's you kind of know which characters, because you know obviously you're watching this having already seen Breaking Bad. You kind of know which characters are going to like die and which characters are not going to die because it's based on whether or not they are in Breaking Bad. And I don't think that stops, that doesn't affect at all the amount of like tension and the attachment you feel to the characters that you can tell aren't going to stick around either way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It sounds like this one has what I've heard, a pretty colorful ensemble independent of Breaking Bad even.
I mean, like in terms of the cast.
Yeah.
I learned about one of the characters because a video popped up in my YouTube recommendation just called "Hey Kid Named Finger," and that's how I learned about Chuck McGill.
Chuck McGill's also a great character. He's very much ripe for the internet to make fun of him. So,
I saw him like a while back, and I didn't know who he was. Just singing Weird Al's "Eat It" or like speaking it. Just like it's weird. It's like a 5-second clip, and it's just him looking at a camera in a selfie mode, like, you know, portrait, and he just goes, "Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried," and that's it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what's great is a lot of the actors they do like cameos, so people just pay them to say shit. And it's crazy.
Is he also Dicker in The Incredibles?
Well, A Kid Named Finger is.
Or are we talking about 2 different guys?
Yeah, Chuck McGill is a different character entirely. But
wait, did he pass away?
A Kid Named Finger?
Yeah.
No, he's still alive.
Oh, the original Dicker in The Incredibles did.
Yeah, the original did from the first one. But Jonathan Banks, Kid Named Finger, he did do the voice of Dicker in Incredibles 2.
Oh, I see. That was Kid Named Finger.
And he's another standout character in this show, too.
Put the phone down, Walter.
Put down, Walter. Other than that, again, not going to go into too much detail, but there are... Tony Dalton and Michael Mando are, you know, obviously newcomers to this show. They play just such good, like, villain characters, I want to say. I mean, Michael Mando is probably one of my favorite villain actors in general. He played Voss in Far Cry 3.
All right.
He is so fucking good in this show. It is. I mean, he's really good at just playing like an intense, just threatening force. And Tony Dalton kind of caught me off guard. He kind of just shows up and he's like the scariest fucking character in the show. He was in Hawkeye. I don't know if you remember who he was, Tommy, but he was like
Was he a mustache dude?
The second in command for Echo.
I guess.
He was like a swordsman, right?
Yeah, he was like the fence. He was like her stepdad or whatever. He was like the fencer. But he's so good in this too. And that's just in terms of like the the cartel side of things. Even on the like the lawyer side of things, you have like Saul's girlfriend, who's played by Rhea Seehorn. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she is such a standout character. She is so good because like they kind of set it up like you would be expecting the same as like Walter White's wife, how she'd kind of be like a foil to like what he wants to do, but she ends up actually just being completely on board, and they're like practically like these partners in crime sort of thing. It's really good.
I like it. Yeah, it's and I think you're really looking forward to the next spin-off, Slippin' Jimmy.
That's already out, and I refuse to watch it.
I'm morbidly.
But they are planning a spin-off with Rhea Seehorn with her character.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know when that's going to take place, but I am interested to see it. I kind of like... I don't think they should stretch out the IP too much because it's kind of perfect the way it is with ignoring Slippin' Jimmy. But I kind of want to, if they're going to keep doing like prequels, I want to see a kid named Finger origin story.
Oh, hell yeah. When we meet him as a kid named Finger.
Because he has a pretty emotional like backstory that they touch on quite a bit, but they don't, you don't really see any of it. So I think that would be interesting.
I'd be down. Yeah. I say that like I still gotta watch this show, frankly, but it's on the list. I'm sure I'll get to it.
Definitely watch it. Breaking Bad, obviously you'd want to start with that, but that's such an amazing show. And then I think the thing about Breaking Bad is that it's kind of the like pacing is pretty consistent and the tone is pretty consistent, and it like ramps up pretty fast and then it kind of stays that way. Better Call Saul is a very slow burn, so to understand that going in, that it's mostly just a like really well written drama the first 3 seasons before it becomes more like what Breaking Bad is.
Cool. All right.
Yes, that's all I got to say about Slippin' James Isaac Neutron.
Now, Walter,
if you want to take
if your friends were baking meth, would you jump off of them? All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead. We're already running pretty long, and I still have a lot. We have a lot of news to get through between D23 and Nintendo Direct. I think I'll just forego my last turn. There's nothing I'm like burning to talk about anyway, besides those 2 I already mentioned. So, if it's all the same with you guys, we could just move along to news.
Sure.
All right. But the first thing I glanced at my phone for the prompts because I took notes on that to not forget them, and my Twitter is open. Germane to the fact that we were quoting "I think you should leave" and talking about She-Hulk in this episode. Apparently, the newest episode of She-Hulk features Patty Harrison.
God damn.
She's scared by how much she needs wine.
Oh, was she? And I think
yeah, she was tied into the pants of the big Charlie Brown at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade.
Oh, sewn into the pants, Tommy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And she's also mad that Santa's coming early. All right. So, I'm gonna find a listicle of D23 reveals, and I'm sure we'll be able to shoot through those, but there might be 1 or 2 we want to dwell on. Every Disney movie and TV show revealed at D23. Here we go. All right. Hocus Pocus 2.
Don't care.
Disenchanted. Here's the thing.
Don't
my
care.
boy Griffin Newman, from who I'm constantly doing podcast homework for, is in that one. He's the chipmunk, so I'm gonna go support him when I characteristically wouldn't usually. Let's see. Bullshit. This is ridiculous. A prequel to the 2019 live-action remake of The Lion King called Mufasa.
That is so many hoops to jump through for a movie that people only saw for
The
nostalgia.
longest fucking walk for the
Yeah.
shortest fucking drink of water. Oh man. Dev, were you about to say something?
Nope.
Snow White looks bad, but I feel really bad because I like the girl who plays Snow White. She was in West Side Story and she was really good. So sucks that she has to attach herself to this. I guess we gotta talk about Little Mermaid, huh?
I can't believe that people are getting mad at the actress for Ariel when fucking Melissa McCarthy
I
Ursula
know.
exists.
It looks really bland. I
no.
don't like it.
That's the remakes
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, the racism shit is fucking stupid, of course. We're not about that. I'm sure Halle Bailey is wonderful, and I'm sure she'll do a great job in her own vacuum, but that movie's gonna suck, if pedigree is any indicator.
Yep.
Pixar's next movie is Elemental.
It just looks
So like,
Randomly or automatically generated by an AI.
see, like, I feel like Pixar is losing its touch of the what if abstract concepts had feelings things. I didn't really like Soul very much. I'm looking forward to some of the.
What if souls had feelings?
Well, no, exactly. What if we became these little circular bliblos in another world and establish a bunch of fucking unnecessary rules, and it's like a quaint bureaucracy? I feel like that's going to be just this again. Let's see. Which is why I'm more excited for Win or Lose. It's a series by Pixar about a Little League baseball team, and it looks a little more Turning Red-esque. Will Forte is going to be Coach Dan. Their team. I look at the promo picture. Their team is called the Pickles. I find that fun. I'll give a stamp of approval to that one. And then, did you guys get the promotional picture of the movie? I don't know why they revealed this now. But it's going to be like 2 projects from now, and it's called Elio. It's this kind of cool-looking kid talking with aliens. It could be kind of neat.
I didn't hear about that.
I'll link you the promo image. It's a little bit cool. I kind of get some, like, trying to place my thumb. Uh-oh. Is it still? Here's Elio. I dropped it in the chat.
Huh.
No, I'm getting some near vibes from the.
I was gonna say it looks like Steven Universe.
I could see that.
The little creature on the right with like the face kind of looks like a meal.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
There we go. Inside Out 2 is happening, but Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling aren't coming back, which I think kind of blows.
Yeah.
We're getting Zootopia Plus, an anthology series about the various characters of Zootopia, which, those are some kind of fun characters. I might try that one. Wait, I hadn't even seen this. Kugali's Iwaju, a Disney Plus original series arriving to the service next year, taking place in a futuristic Nigeria as a coming-of-age story. So this is a new property. That's cool. A little uncharacteristic, germane to our discussion. What do you guys think of Strange World? I think that's the last big thing.
I really like Jake Gyllenhaal, but I don't know how this is going to be because I don't really know anything about it.
The trailer kind of spoils the whole thing, unfortunately.
Oh, so I guess I won't watch that.
Yeah, dodge that trailer is what I would do. Dev, I know you're not a big Disney guy, but I don't want to cut you off. Do you have anything there?
Honestly, no.
All right. Let's move to the Nintendo Direct. That'll be a little more, let's see.
Yes!
I thought this one was kind of good. Fire Emblem Engage. You're the Fire Emblem boys. What do we got here?
I'm really not interested, honestly. It doesn't look good.
Yeah. I mean, for a game where it looks like you can use previous Fire Emblem heroes as, like, stands, I have no interest. I also, am kind of like I didn't like Three Houses as much as everyone else, so I think I may just be like kind of growing out, or not growing out, but like a bit more of a fan of the classic Fire Emblem stuff, and I don't know if it's going to return to that. Like, I don't think we're ever getting a Path of Radiance
I
again.
always think you really like Three Houses, and I think it's just like the part of my brain that does not compute with playing a whole JRPG tactics game and saying, it was okay.
I mean, I only played it because I was like, okay, Byleth is getting into Smash. Let's see what the hype is about. And I do think it's a little overrated.
I played it and I was like, maybe the franchise just isn't for me. I'm a little tough with that kind of thing. This article doesn't do them in order, and I think this will be fine. Okay, here we go. Octopath Traveler 2 looks really cool, though.
See, I saw that it got announced. Is that with the same characters, or is it like a new cast?
Different characters.
Oh, then I don't care, because that means no Obleric.
It's all the same classes, though. You might find someone close, though. This cast looks really cool. I would at least encourage you to take a look. The Thief, I think, is going to be my choice. I have a copy of Octopath 1 I still haven't played. I think I got to knock that out already, because everyone I know...
It's a long fucking game, because you have to play all 8 paths, and all 8 paths are really long.
You have to play all 8?
Yeah, because otherwise certain areas are locked off. Yeah.
So,
if I recall correctly, of course.
That's not... Like if I try, like, I wouldn't be able to finish one campaign if I don't do the others, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you have to like get a party, you have to recruit all the characters, but then you have to do stories, and then certain characters are like roadblocks in other stories where it's like, unless you do this character's third part of their story, you can't reach this character's fifth part.
Really? That's
I think
not
so.
what some of my press was leading me to believe, but you've actually played it, so I'll have to try it and see, I suppose. I don't know. Me and JRPGs, we have a little trouble, but when I find one that clicks, it's like all I can think about. So we'll see. It Takes Two is getting ported. I bet Dav's happy about that.
I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna get it on the Switch, but
Good game.
3 frames a second, baby.
Yeah. I'm glad more people are gonna get to play it, but yeah, I don't think that'll run very well.
Now I'm gonna say SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake, and Dav is gonna like lose his mind.
Yes! Let's go. Battle for Bikini Bottom sequel. Fucking great.
Fatal Frame, none of us care, right?
No.
Xenoblade 3?
Fuck no.
Alright, here we go. Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star.
Oh, let's go. We're getting fit.
Fucking
We're getting
finally.
fit in the
Oh man,
apocalypse.
one of the funniest fucking concepts for a game ever.
I thought that was gonna be the like the Yakuza Fist of the North Star game. Straight up, I thought that's what it was gonna be, but then he started doing like the fitness rhythm thing, and I don't know, that was like whiplash.
Tunic is coming to the Switch. I've heard good things about that one. Oddballers, Front Mission, farming game, new Splatfest.
Farming game.
Jury duty.
Somehow they're putting Factorio on there, which I don't know how they're gonna make that work, because like that's a game that you need a keyboard, a mouse, and a bottle of Adderall to make it work.
There's so many names on this, they're like almost gibberish to me. I was like, oh, I remember most of... Oh my god, what is Rune Factory 3 special? Atelier Ryza 3.
Farming game.
Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I tried the first one, and I wasn't in love with it.
Yeah, I've been trying to finish the first one, but it's gotten like to be like a real slog.
Yeah, okay, Bayonetta 3 is finally gonna come out. Kinda can't believe it's this year. I wanna say we were texting about it, and Dad was like, why do we have to watch the Bayonetta 3 trailer on our own time? And I'm like, well, it's probably rated M. But I get home that day from work, and I go to watch the... Oh my gosh, that was an ad on the website I'm using to look at the announcements. Jesus Christ. Did you guys hear that? Whoopsie.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard you needing more ad
Sorry.
still.
So I go to turn on the Bayonetta 3 trailer on my Roku, so I can just watch it on my big screen TV. And the first thing it does, because it's on my TV and other people might see, is it goes, "This contains restricted content. Are you sure you want to watch?" And I was just like, "Oh, I see why this wasn't on the direct." Looks fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. Kirby's Return to Dreamland remake. I love Kirby as the next guy. Why is this like the year of Kirby though?
Lots of Kirby
Get
stuff.
it. Where was this love for Donkey Kong last year? I'm not gonna go there. Not gonna go there. Not gonna start. Ooh, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion.
It's a little hype, yeah.
I might try that one. Dev, do you know Crisis?
I've never gotten a chance to play
Yeah.
Crisis Core because it's only been on like the PSP.
Be open to that one. Sifu's getting ported. That's a great one.
Rain code.
007 GoldenEye coming to Switch is also kind of a big thing, frankly. I think that's a pretty cool deal, especially for Rare. The two big ones.
It's getting online play.
Yeah, we can torment people with Odd Job wherever we go. Pikmin 4, the Earth Shook. I'm a bit of a late adopter of Pikmin. I really loved 3 Deluxe, and that's the beginning and end of my experience. So I'll totally pick this one up. I think it'll be pretty cool.
I have 1 and 2 on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Play those at some point.
Definitely. Arlo can finally rest. That must have been like a heart attack.
Yep.
Good puppet.
But he uploaded his reaction.
Well, it's so funny too because they baited it with like 2 minutes of Pikmin Bloom talk, and it's like, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
And now, all right, this is more you guys than me. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. We finally have the full scoop on that.
No, we don't, but we do.
We have a title. Yes, we do. We truly don't, but we do.
It is a game that is afraid to show that it exists for some reason.
Pretty much.
Is the credibility of Breath of the Wild just so huge that they feel like anything they show before release date just won't be good enough, probably?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't even have to show. They could have probably just like said that it's going to come out on some date and showed nothing, and everybody would have bought it anyway.
Honestly, yeah. They should try that sometime and just like, I don't know. And then you put in the cartridge, and it's that weird bootleg Popeye game on the Switch.
The what?
The one that's like 20 gigabytes for some reason.
Will, have you heard about that like $50 Popeye game on the Switch eShop? Oh, I got some clips to show you later.
Awful.
Oh boy. State of Play, I'm sure had a ton of nothing, but we did get a reveal of Tekken 8. Let me tell you guys, not much surprises me these days. But the fact that we had a Tekken trailer with Jin fighting Kazuya, I can't believe they made a trailer like that. Like, I can't believe they put Mario
in
know,
Smash.
Right? It was truly bold. Like, truly, I was at a loss for words. It looks alright. It looks pretty good. I'm sure it'll impress me moving forward.
Can't wait for them to bring Lucky Chloe back.
I guess I will say, give Tekken back to the actual fucking martial artists and curb stomp Claudio and Lucky Chloe on your way out. Tekken 7 had some of the worst fucking newcomers. There's some great ones, don't get me wrong. Leroy Smith fucking whips. But pretty much the rest of them can go choke. Gygus, don't need him. Bring it back to like the actual like fucking fighters.
I still don't even know what Gygus is supposed to be story-wise.
He is the father of another new character, kidnapped and mutated. They introduced a character.
Huh. Which new character?
What's her face with the glasses? Yeah.
Huh.
So I kind of hate the way when they introduce a new character to be directly connected to another new character. Just connect them to someone already there, for Christ's sake. So Street Fighter 6, we got basically the base cast reveal, but some people are saying there might be more. And some of the adventure mode going in, I was pretty impressed by what I saw. Um, Ken has been canceled, and he's run off to join the circus or the construction company, and that's why he's a hobo. And I think that's kind of a neat direction to take his character. You like Ken a little more than I do, Will. What do you think?
I'm just really glad he still has his
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
honestly.
Wife didn't
Like,
take the kids.
I'm happy that yeah. Um and I think the design really works for him. Like I'm still glad he's still basically happy-go-lucky Ken and he's not, just another brooding Ryu for
Absolutely.
sure.
We got Blanca, Dulcim, and E Honda along with him. And they've always been kind of the handful of World Warriors that's honestly like they were cool in Street Fighter 2, and since then I've been a little whatever. They're the weird ones. They kind of are there to be wacky. I'd honestly say this is the best any of them have looked, barring Blanca. I'm a little shaky on, but E Honda and Dulcim I think are cooler than ever.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm obviously not a big fan of the direction that they're taking Street
Mhm.
Fighter 6, but I think if I'll say anything, it's that the returning characters all have fantastic redesigns. Like even a character like Ryu, where it's like, he's always been the white martial artist gi dude. Um, he looks like a natural progression of him, and it works really
Have you
well.
seen the artwork of Dulcim with just like his limbs stretching in every fucking direction?
I
It's such
haven't,
a
but I
cool.
should
Let me
because
see if I
that's
can
pretty
find it.
fun.
It's his render for the game, and it's such a cool pose they have him doing. Hold on. X.
While you're looking for that, I have to say that I'm offended that you said there was a whole lot of nothing at the
What
state
else
of
was
play.
there?
Well, we did get a new trailer for God of War
Oh, we did.
Ragnarok. Yeah, and we got a reveal that Like a Dragon Ishin is getting remade and released in
Yeah,
the
all the
West.
Oh,
Yakuza
I
shit.
honestly forgot that was at the state of play. For some reason, my brain smushed it into the Nintendo Direct. I think because they were on the same day.
Well, that reveal led into I think it was, I don't know, if like the day after or a few days after the state of play, they just had like a big, just like Yakuza games like dump of just a bunch of reveals. And like for one, they revealed that the series is no longer going to be called Yakuza going forward. It's just going to be called Like a Dragon now, which is like the original name, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, so for one, we're getting Ishin, which is really nice. That is the second of two samurai games that never came out in the West. We're also getting a sort of like, it's like an in-between story about Kiryu, which is like the man who I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's like the man who got rid of his name or something. So that's going to be like sort of a short in-betweener game. And we're also getting Like a Dragon 8 with Kiryu looking like a K-pop star.
Looking like a Devil May Cry character.
Yeah. That's really exciting. And then they, out of nowhere, shadow dropped both the Judgment games on PC, which just made people go fucking insane. So I'm all here for that, of course.
To be as a layman, I say every time my copy of Zero's in the backlog, so I'll get to that one. But sounds like you're eating good. I'm happy for you.
We are eating very good. Say.
Do you mind if I swerve us back to Street Fighter 6?
Yeah,
Do you see that tasty looking Dulcim art there, Will?
Yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
cool. I really like Dulcim
Yeah, I
with
think
a
that
beard.
was a good touch for him. I'm glad they did that. The story's shaping up to kind of interest me because we just know, like Ken is the first inkling that's getting me kind of into where the story's going because there's some kind of corporate espionage that's got him on the outs, and I've been on and off with Ken. He's fine for the most part. But the fact that he seems like almost the active hero of this story, that he has to clear his name presumably from the major threat here. Like he has a win quote with Kimberly where he's like, "You're getting way in too deep. You can't be fucking around here. Get out of here, kid." Like that really interests me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it takes his character because he's never. This is like kind of the ostensibly the starring role I think he's needed.
Yeah, and I would be so on board with the game if Ken was the lead and not fucking Luke. But I know Luke is like in all the box arts and Capcom's pushing him forward so much, so I think Ken may be like a secondary role, if even that. So I'm not too optimistic, but what you said would probably be like my dream
And
ending
I
for
mean,
that.
Luke almost strikes me as the Pokemon professor because he meets you in the gym and gets you squared up and ready to go. Then he says, "Out to the streets." He kicks you out. I don't actually see him. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll eat crow later. I kind of like the Pokemon approach where you're like learning from the old masters. It has that sense of reverent. You know, you see these characters age, and I just imagine you go up to E Honda, who's got his Kabuki fish soup restaurant, and you're like, "Will you teach me shooting yourself forward like a rocket headbutt?" And he's like, "Ugh, haven't done that in a long time." And he kicks the shit out of you, and you learn the move. I kind of like that approach for a creative character. The creative characters do look a little off, I'd say.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Um, No, I was just gonna say a big thing too is I think the returning characters, like, yes, they're needed, but they're also really boring.
Wait, who?
Like, besides design wise, like even in Street Fighter V, it was like, oh shit, Armika and Karin and Birdie are coming back, and those were all like
Bro,
characters we
just to
hadn't seen in a
clarify though, because
while.
you said a moment ago they were doing a good job with the returning characters. Do you mean the choices are more boring?
Yeah, I just would have liked to have seen like one or two
It is
oddball
very much
picks.
the safe choices. But I do, yeah.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
like especially because this takes place after Street Fighter
Mhm.
Third Strike. I just have no idea where the fuck any of those
I think
characters
that's
are.
fair. I do think just no small part of it is learning from these long established fighters. I just don't know if there's necessarily the same impact from I'm gonna go learn a move from good old Necro. As you know, as much as I like guys like those, I think they're going for that very specific narrative.
No, I get you. It would just like, I mean, even Alex or a character like something to continue G or Q's story because he was set up as this like huge player and now he's
It's
nowhere to be
speculated
seen.
JP will be involved in that though.
That would be nice to see. I just like he was such a
Mhm.
cool character that everyone loved and it's like, oh, so he's just not
You
coming
know, it's
back?
early in. I don't think we've seen the last of them. I think JP, because if G is involved with Q, as we're led to believe, and JP is postured as the antagonist, as some speculate, grain of salt, not necessarily, and he's the one responsible for toppling Ken's company, this could be that story coming to a head at long last.
Yeah, but if Element OP shows up, watch out.
Oh yeah.
If I don't know. So we know pretty much we're getting the World Warriors and Cammy and DJ, and then that handful of youngsters, which I know you're not thrilled about, Will. I'm personally gonna reserve judgment till we see them in action. I just like I was telling you before, I might have said this on the pod. If I just saw that drawing of Jamie, I wouldn't think much. But seeing how he plays in this, he's on his way to being one of my favorite Street Fighters ever.
I mean, like I'm definitely looking forward to JP because he looks like he knows what he's doing. I just like it's hard when it's like all of these are like, oh, look at all these new kids and they, teenagers with attitude. It would have been nice to have like, even maybe one more older character to go along
Well,
with
there's
JP.
so we got Mimi, and I think she's younger, definitely. She's the one who looks a bit like T-Hawk. The Italian could pass for any number of ages. She's fucking huge. And then there's the Marin, the French girl. I'm looking forward to seeing her because I love a brawny grappler woman. She could actually she could be very Shermie-esque, a pink-haired French grappler. Ooh la la. Yeah, I think like I said, looks can be deceiving. You might. I'm not. Yeah, I feel a little like I'm always trying to placate you with this one. Maybe just because I'm so looking forward to it. But I'm just saying, you might be surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure hoping I do because I love Street Fighter and I it would suck to be like, because everyone's freaking out over the graphics and everyone's having a good time, so it would suck to be like the one person who's like, this is a bunch of bullshit.
I don't know. I guess well, you get to create your own teenager with attitude, though. Yeah,
That's true.
Are you gonna call yourself Akira?
I am going to call
I know you
myself
well.
Akira.
I know my friend. I have my friend. All right. Well, this is a long one. This is like, I think this will be, when I edit it down, it'll probably be like 2:15. We've been recording for like 2.5 hours.
Oh, yeah,
It's
because
a
you.
true 1 year special
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah.
It really is. And of course, a ton of it was She-Hulk.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll about do it. I am going to be a little more scared about Blanca's big, weird orangutan lips. That's Tommy.
And I am going to seek out more information about the kid named Finger, and I'm Will.
And I am the kid named Finger.
No.
I'm Dav.
No, that's
shit.
impossible!
Walter, take your clothes off. I'm having sex with you.